Hello, BookTube. Well, as unbelievable as it seems, we are at the end of August. We are at the end of what is traditionally viewed as summer in the Northern Hemisphere. In the United States, we're on the doorstep of the long Labor Day weekend. Uh, Traditionally seen as the end of summer, even though large parts of the country are still broiling in triple digit heat. Uh, that's kind of amazing to me. I know it's a stereotypical thing that old farties always say is that where did the time go? But it really, this summer really does feel like it went by fast. Uh, and it was filled with BookTube events. The summer was filled with BookTube events. And all of those, some of them were designed to last all summer long. Things like Summer of Sport or Book Trek were designed to last all summer long, and those are coming to an end. Garb August is coming to an end. So we are looking forward tomorrow to the beginning of September, which naturally makes me think about BookTube, of course, as all things do. I am a confirmed BookTuber with over 100 videos to my credit. I'm thinking of three events. I'm sure that I'm missing some, but I'm thinking of three events for September that I will certainly uh, cheer on. I'll be participating from the sidelines. I'm not a co-host for any of them. One is Shaketember, which is an old event now that where we read Shakespeare, just concentrate on Shakespeare. I'll leave links to all the organizing and all the announcement videos for all of these things because it might be worth your time if you're the type of reader who loves the communal aspect of BookTube, as I am. If you're the type of reader who likes a little bit of a skeletal backbone to your reading, a little bit of a form or a program, as I tend to be, well, then you'll love looking at those videos. You'll love knowing about these events. But Shaketember is a concentration on Shakespeare, which I go back to Shakespeare all year long. But since I've been on BookTube, since Shaketember has existed, or ShakeTube before it was ShakeTube, uh, I have done a lot of my concentrated Shakespeare reading in that month, in the month of September. And I intend to do that again this year. So I don't quite know what form that will take. I have a vague idea for something that I would like to do, which is to read Shakespeare biographies all month long. But I don't know. I don't know how that would go. I will. I've tended in years past to make projects like this. I end up just reading the plays again. I love reading the plays so much that I ended up just reading them again. We'll see. But that's coming up. Shaketember is coming up for September. And then there's Shorty September, which, again, I'll leave links to everybody involved in all of these things. Probably you know about all of them anyway. But Shorty September is spending the month of September reading shorter works, 200 pages, 250 pages, thereabouts, nothing much longer than that. Uh, I think one of the benefits of Shorty September for a lot of you, not necessarily for me, but for a lot of you, Shorty September is a great way to clear out a lot of your unread books on your bookshelves, a lot of your TBR. It's a great way also to increase, maybe for a moral boost, your number of books read in the year, your tally. And to get a lot of these little things that have been sitting on shelves, get them taken care of, get them out of the way. And I think I have a plan for Shorty September. I read long and short books anyway, all year long, depending on what the publishing industry sends me. But I have a plan for Shorty September, and that is to reread. I love rereading, and I do more of it as the year goes on. To reread all the short works of a lot of the short works of nonfiction that I have here. And by short, I mean very short. 200 pages, I think, is going to be very generous for me. I want to read stuff that doesn't come close to that, half that in length, if I can. I've been looking at my shelves. I was looking at my shelves. I was walking around last night, avoiding work. I was looking at my shelves and seeing how many books I have that are small, that I have read, but that I probably a lot of them haven't reread in quite some time. So I think that's going to be my concentration for Shorty September, is to reread, especially a lot of the shorter nonfiction that I have in print and paper form. So unlike perhaps Shakespeare, Shorty September, I think for me, will be almost entirely non-digital. Although that could change. Once I get into the program, once I get into the swing of things, I could decide that I want to do a lot of short reading of shorter indie works. Novellas, for instance, are very popular in the indie world. They're a tough sell in the mainstream world. tough sell to get a publisher to agree to print a novella. But in the indie world, writers come up with them all the time, and I have a lot of those, and I know a lot about a lot of others. I might want to do a lot of that, but right now I'm thinking I want to indulge in rereading, a lot of nonfiction rereading. And then the third BookTube event that I'm thinking of, and maybe you know of others, is new. It's Framed, which Heather Gregg and a whole bunch of other people have come together to make an event about art. And I will leave links to all of these things down below. But Framed is a September event about art that has a handful of prompts. One is to read a book, fiction or nonfiction, something to do with art. Of course, I think I can handle that. Two is to experience art, go to an exhibit of some kind, which I'm not going to do. I'm not going to go to a museum in September. So I'm not going to go to an exhibit of any kind in September. So I'm going to fail on that prompt. And then the third prompt is optional, and it is to create something, to make a piece of art. And I thought to compensate for the fact that I'm not going to do the second prompt, I went to more of the third prompt and might involve you. We might draw some things together and talk about what that is, talk about how you do that. The very basics. I'm not good enough to do more than the very basics. But just the very basics, I thought that might make a fun series of videos to do. So I will be partially failing Framed right out of the gate, because I'm not going to a museum. But I'll do the rest of it. And I might, for the reading aspect, I was thinking about, very predictably, I was thinking about just reading artist biographies. There have been an enormous number of them. I'm not going back to Vasari. Vasari's Lives of the Artists is the classic wellspring of that sort of thing. But I've read an enormous amount of artist biographies in my 28 years, and there are more coming. There are a couple coming out in September, new from publishers. I will get those on Monday, and then there are a bunch of others that have appeared in the last 30 years that I haven't read. I don't make an ironclad policing action out of reading artist biographies the way I do out of reading biographies of other groups of people. So there's plenty for me to read, plenty. Here for Framed, I will be specifically stipulating that the artists involved are not writers. And I will say also not composers. They will be visual artists. I have a handful of those biographies here that I could start with, and then I can move on to others from there. So I'm thinking that's what I'll do for Framed. And those are the three events that I have in mind for September. Shorty September, Shaketember, and Framed. Of course, the event that's overarching all of those, the one that I would hope I don't need to make an announcement for, is Cimmerian September by Michael K. Vaughan. Michael K. Vaughan's event that celebrates Conan in the month of September. So I guess that you could count that as a fourth event. I'm just assuming it, and I will probably make a Samarian September video on my own. I've already made one. I'll probably make a series of them. The goal for Samarian September this time around, of course, it's a Michael K. Vaughan event, so it is extremely casual. But the goal this time is to read Conan pastiche novels. So last time it was to read all of the original Robert E. Howard Conan short stories and longer works, which you could do in 1 month. If you tried, you could do it in 1 month. There's no way that you can read all of the Conan pastiche fiction in 1 month. There's no way that I could do that in 1 month. There's too much of it. But that means there's plenty to choose from. So read some Conan pastiche for Samarian September. The target Conan pastiches are the original ones, the ones that were doing stand-in duty for the original works, the ones by Elisabeth de Camp and Lynn Carter. If you have any of those, Samarian September would be the time to start with those. But if you don't feel like reading those, if you feel like reading just later people's Conan novels, there are plenty to choose from. So that is right now the shape of my BookTube September. Is Samarian September overarching it all, because I never need any urging to read Conan. I love reading Conan. I don't know quite what I will do for Samarian September. I want to reread all of those Elisabeth de Camp books. I read them originally decades ago and have not systematically gone back to them since. But I was also thinking the Conan the Barbarian comic book from Marvel Comics by Roy Thomas and John Buscema. I was thinking about reading the first 100 issues of that over again, slowly, lovingly, caringly. I was thinking about doing that, but that wouldn't be hard. I could do that along with other pastiche. So there's Samarian September, overarching everything, but then there's Framed, all about art. Are you going to participate in Framed? I'll leave a link so you can watch and learn all about it. But what about reading about art? Either an art treatise or a monograph of some kind, or the biography of an artist. What about that? And naturally, although I'm not going to do it, I'm all the more curious about you. Do you regularly go to art museums? Do you have a good one near where you live? Would you think about going for framed? And if you're a booktuber, if you make videos, any chance you could make one of those video diagrams, those diaries of going, so you can show us your art museum? That would be a lot of fun. But there's that. There's Shaketember. What is your association with the greatest writer of the English language, the greatest writer of who has ever lived? What is your relationship with the works of Shakespeare? How many of them have you read? All of them? Some of them? Do you prefer watching them to reading them? Are you going to read a Shakespeare play for Shaketember? And Shorty September, which is lots and lots of fun, to give shorter works the love that they don't often get, especially on this channel, where I admit I am what Alex Serrano refers to as a size queen. I like very big books. I make no pretense about that at all, which means that a lot of my shorter works here on the shelves already have maybe been neglected. So perfect opportunity to rectify that. I will be giving many reports on Shorty September. So that's a look at my September on BookTube. And I'm curious about yours. How many of these events, if any of them, are you going to participate in? And which ones, what events did I miss? Feel free to let me know all about it. And I'll see you in the course of September, which, believe it or not, we are now here. We are now at September. Anyway, I'll wrap this up, and I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.